Pramana vritti. The derivative meaning of pramana is hidden import. The cause of prama is called pramana. Pramana vritti can cause an animate entity to be transformed into matter through analysis. The pramana which leads to this degradation is certainly a painful modification of klishta vritti. On the other hand, by employing logic and lucid arguments, one can establish the existence of Atman or Paramatman. In this case, pramana can be called a non-painful modification of Klishta-vritti. When pramana is applied analytically, it is Klishta-vritti, and when it is applied synthetically, it is Aklishta-vritti. Pramana is of three types: pratyaksha, perception of direct knowledge; anumana, inference; and agama, authority of testimony. When the indriyas assimilate in inferences of objects which color the static portion of chitta with a static ideation, one acquires preliminary knowledge about an object. This is called sensation, alochana jnana. When this superficial knowledge or sensation becomes an object of the meditative chitta and receives the support of the sentient chitta, it is called perception or coordinated sensation. When one recreates an image of an object in the chitta which does not correspond exactly with the previous perception of the object, the conclusion made by the mind is called inference. When one recreates an image in the mind which is the exact replica of an object previously perceived, it is called conception. To accept the perception of inference of a person in whom one has confidence is called agama or authority. But if the perception or inference is defective, then the authority will also be defective. Those who have blind faith in a particular person or book refuse to acknowledge their defects. The defects then devolve on the blind followers themselves. Viparyaya vritti. Viparyaya mityaya jnana matta drupo pratisham. Viparya or defective cognition occurs when one acquires false knowledge about something which does not really exist. Suppose the moon is reflecting in a pond. There are two images of the moon, but the image in the pond is not the real moon. To consider the reflected moon as the real moon is viparya or false knowledge. Viparya is false knowledge about an unreal object. If pramana is the positive knowledge about an object which really exists, viparya is defective cognition about a non-existent object. Due to this defective cognition, the singular supreme entity appears to be manifested as many in the relative world. He appears to be reflected on innumerable mental plates as innumerable consciousnesses. To see a mirage in a desert is also a kind of defective cognition. Defective cognition causes 5 kinds of afflictions, which are also known as the 5 avidyas: avidya, negative force; asmita, egotism; raga, blind attachment; dvesha, repulsion; and abhinivesha, self-obsession. These avidyas are also called tama moha, maha moha, tamishra, and hatamishra respectively. Viparya vritti can also express itself in both ways, klishta and aklishta, painfully and non-painfully. When the unit mind strives to attain the supreme entity by practicing sadhana, viparya vritti is certainly a non-painful propensity, but when viparya vritti causes the unit mind to crudify itself by running blindly towards the mundane world, it is a painful propensity. When the unit mind becomes totally degenerated due to its attachment for the crude, defective cognition becomes extremely painful. Vikalpa vritti. We try to form an idea about the real nature of an object through the sense organs, and we try to express a feeling about it through words. Often we use words or expressions in a different sense from that which properly belongs to them. Such words and expressions can be called vikalpa because the ideas they convey cannot actually be perceived. Regarding Paramapurusha, we say that he is devoid of imperfections. In this case, we use the word devoid not in the true sense of its meaning, but merely to convey a certain idea about an object. While traveling by train, we may say, "Good, Budvan Junction has come, but does Budvan Junction ever come?" We also say, "Bullets are flying, but can bullets fly of their own accord?" Thus, in Vikalpa Vritti, words are used not in their literal sense, but to convey a certain idea. If one takes the word or expression literally, the whole thing becomes meaningless. Thus, meaningless words are used to convey precise ideas. Vikalpa is of three types: Kriya, Vastu, and Abhava. An example of Kriya Vikalpa is Budvan Janshan has come. An example of Vastu Vikalpa is in the heart of the city. An example of Abhava Vikalpa is he is devoid of vanity. Abhava Pratyaya Lamba Nivritti Nidra. The propensity which creates a psychic vacuum is called Nidra, sleep. Sleep is the intervening stage between two periods of active psychic functioning. It is a stage of acuity in which the mind does not function. On waking up, one makes the safe assumption that one's mind did not function for a certain period, that one slept. Krishna Nidra, painful sleep, is an impediment to sadhana. But dreamy sleep and deep sleep, in which one is aware of one's sadhana, is certainly not detrimental to spiritual progress. This sleep can be called aklishta nidra, or non-painful sleep. Sometimes during sadhana, one falls into a relaxed half sleep. This is called yoga nidra. Most sadhakas experience yoga nidra in the early stages of sadhana. It is also aklishta because one does not become totally oblivious of oneself. Smriti vritti, sometimes memory, functions during sleep. When one's sleep is transformed into nidra or yogic sentient sleep, this memory is called dhruva smriti or fixed memory. Sattva samvedana, sentient awareness. Anubhuta vishaya sampramosha smriti. The recreation of an object already perceived is called memory. Memory can be both klishta and aklishta. Memory concerning a material or crude object is painful. Memory concerning a spiritual object is dependent on two factors, assimilation and object of assimilation. The difference between intellect and memory is this: memory is recreation of something already known, and intellect is subjectivization of an objectivity. Intellect is not a propensity, memory is. Following the attainment of sampragnata samadhi, the painful propensities gradually become weaker and weaker, and consequently static shita is converted into mutative shita, and mutative shita into sentient shita. As soon as the non-painful propensities become more powerful, the painful propensities begin to disappear. This resembles the disappearance of darkness with the arrival of the light of the crimson dawn. As the light increases in brightness, darkness fades and ultimately totally disappears. The innate characteristic of the sentient principle is pragya, or intuition. That of the mutative principle is pravritti, or assimilation of mundane objects, while that of the static principle is inertness. With the cultivation of the non-painful propensities, the mutative force is gradually transformed into the sentient force. Ultimately, the mutative and static shita dissolve into the powerful sentient shita. At that stage, there remains only the powerful wave of sentient shita, a state known as sampragnata samadhi. When this powerful sentient shita merges into the cognitive faculty, its original source, it is called asampragnata samadhi. When all the waves and subwaves of shita flows as one powerful wave in a singular direction, it is called sampragnata samadhi. And when the single wave becomes suspended in the vast wave of supreme cognitive faculty, it is called asampragnata samadhi. A sadhaka attaining this state looks upon each and every molecule of the dusty earth as a manifestation of that supreme spirituality and enjoys an undifferentiated state with bliss of that supreme entity. 5th July 1959, DMC, Jamalpur.